Do you have a specific example of how you would approach an industry?
Well, yes, if we take television and take the television examples that I mentioned earlier, if I were teaching those three examples, what I'd do is I would begin by giving an overview of the television industry in Britain at the moment, so that we might look at public service broadcasting, might look at satellite broadcasting, the idea of independent television and how those three industries work together. A good way of approaching this is perhaps to give students a specific channel to research themselves in small groups, so that they could understand something about channel remits, the kind of content that you get on a specific channel, audience profiles for a specific channel, and then they could get a balance of it across broadcasting in Britain. If we then move on to looking at specific texts themselves, if we take something like Silk, obviously I would begin by looking at Silk in relation to it as a text. So we could look at its genre, it's a legal drama, we could look at its aspects of narrative. Most of the narratives within the programmes are linear, but there are episodes where you get flashbacks and you get parallel stories going on, and we could look at representations, obviously representations of gender, representations of different criminal activities, representations of different class situations, representations of youth in an episode that I was watching recently. We could then look at Silk itself and how it is reflective of a BBC programme, so we're looking at industry factors, where it's scheduled, how it fits into public service broadcasting, how it's marketed and promoted to audiences, through some of the more obvious things like trailers, but also articles that there are in newspapers and magazines about various members of the cast, their appearances on everything from Loose Women to television chat shows, so we're getting a sense of the marketing. And then obviously the last area that we look at is different audiences, target audience profiles, and then a bit like we do for MS1, how different audiences might respond to it, depending on whether they accept preferred readings and negotiate their own readings, how they've been positioned by the text, their own cultural experiences and backgrounds. If we think then about something like CSI New York, I mean there's quite a lot that you can look at that will complement what we've done with Silk. Obviously we'd look at its importance to Channel 5, both as a flagship programme, but also for the sort of monetary benefits that it brings to Channel 5. Couldn't really do that without looking at who produced it in the States, and the sort of global aspects of the programme itself, its global audiences, its global reach, as well as its specific Channel 5 audience. CSI New York is also a very good one to think about in terms of its use of digital technologies within the programme itself, through its filming techniques, digital technologies through the use of something like its website, and the games that you get that are linked to a programme like that. And then again, its global audience appeal, the way that audiences respond, the fan websites that have come up in relation to something like CSI. So there is a wealth of things that we can do looking at the programmes individually. And finally, I would make links between the three texts that I had studied with the students in relation to the three key areas of the spec, text, industry and audience, so that they could draw parallels between those areas themselves. For example, one of the things that we do is to look at exam questions and to start planning sample answers. One of the things that I do with my own students is that we spend quite a lot of time interpreting the questions that have been asked, writing small plans for to help them with their responses, and then writing the opening paragraphs to the essay questions. This is something that's quite easy to do within class context time, within the time allowed, and is a good little test for them.